Imagine this, a world where the lines between hero and villain blur beyond recognition. Where the savior we cheer for could become the very threat we fear. What if the choices we make, driven by good intentions, lead us down a path of darkness? What if the greatest battles we face aren't against the monsters outside, but within ourselves? They say, you either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. A haunting thought, isn't it? But let's go deeper. What does this really mean? Does time slowly erode our noble intentions, or is it something more? Maybe the line between heroism and villainy was never as clear as we thought. As we dive into this exploration, we'll uncover the complexities of human nature and the stories that challenge our perceptions of right and wrong. So, let's journey together into this moral labyrinth, where every hero has a shadow, and every villain holds a secret. We all love the idea of a clear hero, a figure who fights for justice, for what's right. But let's ask ourselves, who decides what's right? History is written by the victors, and sometimes, the so-called heroes rewrite the story in their favor. What if, in their pursuit of justice, they become the very thing they swore to destroy? Look closer, and you'll notice that our heroes, our champions of morality, aren't immune to the pull of power. With every battle won, they gain a little more control, and with it, the temptation to wield that power for their own ends. Maybe not all at once, but slowly, steadily, until one day, their actions are indistinguishable from the villains they once fought. It's said that every hero lives long enough to see themselves become the villain, but maybe that's too simple. Maybe they were always the villain in someone else's eyes. Take a look at your favorite stories. Aren't the so-called villains simply fighting for a different ideal? Maybe their goal isn't destruction but rebuilding the world in a way they think is better, even if it means tearing down the one that exists now. What do you do when the very act of saving one life might condemn another? When your pursuit of justice demands sacrifice after sacrifice, and you start to lose sight of what you were fighting for in the first place? And when you finally reach that point, do you still see yourself as a hero? Or has the line blurred so much that it's impossible to tell anymore? Now consider the other side, the so-called villain. To them, they are the hero, the only one with the clarity to see the flaws in this world and the strength to fix them. But their vision requires action, and those actions can be extreme, brutal even. They're willing to break the rules, to cross the lines others won't. To them, it's necessary. They've convinced themselves that without their methods, the world will fall apart. So, what's the difference, really, between them and the hero who fights for the same world but refuses to cross those lines? The more you think about it, the more confusing it gets, doesn't it? You start to wonder, in a world this complicated, does it even matter what we call ourselves, hero or villain? Or are we all just playing roles in a story with no clear ending? History shows us again and again that heroism and villainy aren't fixed roles. They're fluid, shifting depending on the perspective. One person's liberator is another's oppressor. One generation's hero might be remembered as a villain in the next. So who really decides? Is it the act itself, or is it the story that gets told afterward? What happens when we begin to doubt ourselves, when we realize that every choice we make has the potential for unintended consequences? Do we hesitate, knowing that even our best intentions might bring harm? This is where the moral ambiguity becomes unbearable. It makes us stop and ask, does the world even deserve the good we want to bring into it? Because sometimes, when we look back on the wreckage of our actions, we start to wonder if our desire to do good only makes things worse. If every step forward drags us deeper into conflict, into chaos. And at that point, we have to ask ourselves, are we truly saving anyone, or are we just feeding a cycle of destruction that never ends? This is the great dilemma of being human, the constant struggle between wanting to save the world and fearing that in trying, we might destroy it. So, where do we go from here? Maybe the answer isn't in choosing sides between hero and villain, but in recognizing that we're capable of being both. It's in understanding that every decision we make shapes not just our own story, but the world around us. And in that understanding, perhaps we'll find a new way forward, one where we're no longer trapped by these labels, but free to create something different. Maybe we don't need to be heroes. Maybe we just need to be better than we were yesterday. If this idea resonates with you, if you also see the blurry line between heroism and villainy, then hit that like button, subscribe, and let's explore this together. Drop a comment below. What's your favorite example of a character who walks this fine line? Thanks for watching, and remember, life isn't about good and evil, it's about what lies in between.